Last week, I made an argument in favor of cutting generically strong, powerful cards. And although I think a lot of those ideas still hold up, it doesn't tell the full picture. Link to that video in the description, but it is not required to understand this one. It's really easy for Commander players to shun powerful cards, to show off how quirky and cool they are as deck builders. And as cool as it is to replace good win conditions with OG Kamigawa block jank, I actually do really like playing a lot of powerful cards in certain roles and for certain reasons. So I wanted to explore that here and give a few ideas in favor of generically powerful staples. But first, if you want to buy any of these powerful cards, go to Cool Stuff Inc. and use my code TTM at checkout for a discount. Plus, it supports the channel. Also, if you want to support me directly, you can check out my Patreon for Discord access, deck reviews, and more. Okay, one of the best uses for generically powerful cards is to shore up a weakness. Certain decks might have an inherent weakness, like if you wanted to build a mono-red control deck, then card draw might be a little hard to come by. Yeah, you can impulse draw, but if you want to do stuff at instant speed, impulse draw is just not as useful as regular card draw. This is where something like the One Ring comes into play. This certainly draws a lot of cards and will help you keep up with any other blue control deck. Or let's flip it around. Let's say you want to build mono blue aggro. Well, then some generically good equipment could help you out, since blue has less aggro tools than the other colors. Another reason to play staples is that they can often add consistency to your deck, especially those that require no synergy. Goblin Bombardment can be an amazing removal piece in any deck that makes a lot of tokens, but that only works when your deck is actually making tokens and functioning. What if your token generator got hit by a counterspell? An Assassin's Trophy is always going to remove something, whether or not your deck is functioning. Having card draw and removal be tied to these generic, no synergy required staples makes your deck consistent. Consistency in your card draw and removal is crucial if you want to hit card draw and removal when you actually need it. Of course, don't take this as diminishing the power of synergy-based card draw or removal. I mean, Skull Clamp is an insane Magic card. It's just a really bad top deck on an empty board, which is why you might want some mix of the two. Some synergy cards and some generically useful cards. I also like to cover my bases when I'm deck building. I want to make sure I can deal with an artifact, enchantment, or land in every deck. Ideally, an indestructible version of those things as well. And usually I have some generic catch-all removal spells that help me with that. With a Beast Within, I know I have at least one way to destroy an enchantment. Same with Cyclonic Rift or Farewell. These are get-out-of-jail-free cards that can get me out of most tricky board states. Having an out to everything that I can try and play towards in a game where things are going wrong is useful to have and can save you in many games. Another reason to play strong cards is for actual literal raw power. In brackets 3 and below, you can get by just fine without high power cards. There are plenty of synergy pieces that are strong enough for any bracket 3 table. But if your intent is to make a high power bracket 4 list, then for sure you're going to want some strong cards in there. In the last video when I said I don't run Sol Ring in my casual decks, I actually forgot about my Balrog deck. I have yet to actually play it, so that's why I forgot about it, but I do run Sol Ring and many other high power cards in that list, because it's meant to be a strong stacks deck. It needs fast mana to accelerate into its land destruction and to break parity with that land destruction. My goal is to use Sol Ring to power out something early and crush the table, because it's bracket 4. That's what I'm there for. So I'm playing a lot of fast mana. Now, land destruction stacks is, of course, a very high power theme. But what if you're playing a super low power theme? Well, this brings me to one of my favorite types of decks, optimized jank. I think my Unspeakable deck is a good example of this. This deck needs to find either these 3 cards or this Arcane Polymorph to get the Unspeakable in play. So to do that, I play some of the best tutors and removal so I can quickly find the pieces or survive long enough to draw into them. And then I get the Unspeakable in play to actually recur my arcane spells. Is the unspeakable value engine so powerful it's inappropriate for bracket 3? No, of course not. This card sucks. Which is why I don't think these generically powerful support cards are out of place in this casual list. They are propping up such a weak strategy that this is really the only way I can get reasonable consistency and power to make this my bracket 3 control deck. And we can apply this to suboptimal versions of actual supported strategies. Mono White Voltron is a reasonably powerful theme you can play. It has support from wizards with really excellent commanders like Light Paws, Swam, and third one, which is your favorite that I didn't mention here. You probably don't need the best tutors and fast mana to make Light Paws and Swam functional decks, especially if you're not in bracket 3. But let's say you played Konda, Lord of Iganjo, as your Voltron commander. Well, this card is a lot worse. 7 mana for a commander with no enters effect that just folds to Swords to Plowshares is very tricky to play in current year. Heck, this card was not very good when I saw it years ago. So I would expect a deck like this to play some of the best interaction, equipment, fast mana, and tutors to just keep up in bracket 3. Because otherwise, your Konda deck will probably be really bad. Ultimately, I get it. Cards like the One Ring are inherently pretty cringe. It's made to be a card everyone wants because it's busted and colorless, and it would be in 98% of commander decks if it was $1, but it's not because it's like pseudo reserve list. There's something neat about eternal formats in Magic, where decks are a mix of cards from across the game's history, using them in different combinations that Wizards didn't intend for. And Power Creep staples kind of break that. It's no longer a deck made by you or a community of people, it's made by Wizards. Wizards says, here's your card draw. Wizards says, here's your removal. Wizards says, here's your protection. And those are the best options because they've decided to make them the strongest options. This is how decks get power crept and weaker cards get overshadowed. Of course, you can solve this by just cutting all the staples and individually strong cards from your decks, replacing it all with synergy, and that is a perfectly reasonable, great solution. But we can also use the power crept cards to support weak and undersupported archetypes or themes. I don't really want Wizards to make 10 more One Rings, but I do think having some generically powerful options is a neat deck building tool if you want your jank strategy to hold its own a little better. This video and the previous one are not made so I can tell you that you need to add or cut staples to every deck. My goal is for you to rethink what those cards mean for your deck specifically and make a more informed decision. One last thing, no main video next week. I'm taking my first break since I went full-time YouTube, so there's not going to be a video next week. If you're watching this when it comes out, maybe I'll just do a YouTube short or something. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for 75k subs. Really happy about that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so you won't hear from me for a little bit, but I will be back and making content weekly as normal afterwards. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Also, special thanks to my tier 3 patrons whose names you see here. If you want to get in on that, click the link below.